the voice of your community. 107.3 HFM.
And welcome back to the Armadale Let's Connect Expo down here in Armadale today. This is James and I have Kay next to me.
You have indeed, yes. And we've had a little bit of noise around, haven't we? Because being out and about.
Yeah.
We've had somebody over there like religiously ringing bells, and we've had police and ambulances and
the usual people exercising their V8s around the town.
It's been an active afternoon for sure.
One of our final guests, we have young David Walker from the Fathering Project. Welcome to Heritage FM.
Thank you, James, and thank you, Kay, for taking interest in the Fathering Project.
You're welcome. I'm really keen to know more about how your project works and what you do.
Sure. Yeah. I've been working with the Fathering Project for a little over 5 years now in the city of Armadale, and my main role is working with schools. I manage 10 schools within the city. A lot of the schools are low, or what I regard as low SES schools, and I work with the school closely to organise at least one activity per term per school, and those activities can be a simple activity like a paper planes and pizza night, or a Lego activity where the dads and the kids of the school come together, participate in an activity, and through that activity we're able to sew in some of our Fathering Project principles around the importance of play, importance of setting apart time for your child, coming into their space and participating in activity. And what we've found, and the feedback from the schools, is that they're seeing a lot more dads come into the school. They've got a reason to come into the school. Not that they don't have a reason beforehand, but when we run an activity in the school, we can do a barbecue breakfast, walk to school activity, for example, and it's just an opportunity and a way of engaging the dads in the school community. And through that, we know by our research that when a dad's more involved, kids do better in a whole bunch of different areas like education, making better, wiser choices, etc.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is the friction there? What are the reasons why fathers wouldn't have as much interaction with their kids as the kids might hope for or might benefit them?
Oh, look, there's a number of different reasons why. I mean, some dads have work commitments, for example, that preclude them from being able to drop their kids off at school and pick them up, for example, for something simple like that, or even attending some of our events. Some dads could be FIFO. Some dads could be have restrictions around access to their children, which once again would preclude them from being involved. So it's not a simple answer to a complex problem.
There is still a bit of a cultural expectation that, it's women's work, that, maybe, being actively involved with the kids and sitting on the ground playing with them might not be the best use of, dad's time, because he should be out there supporting the family or whatever. Is that something that you can kind of reach young dads and say, hey, not only is this fun, but this is a useful way to spend your time?
100%, and look, we really emphasise the importance of play. Like we all operate in high schools as well, but predominantly we try to focus on. We have a lot more primary schools engaged with our program, and which is helpful to us because, as you said, the earlier we can start working with the dads and impacting the dads and breaking down some of those sometimes social norms that aren't always healthy. Bringing dads together, they see other dads playing with their kids, and it sort of normalises something that should be normal.
That's right, absolutely.
And having a child play with their dad or father figure is an extremely important part of their development. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a different life experience coming from a male perspective to that of the female perspective, I think, and it is important that both sides are exposed to kids.
That's right.
Yeah. Simple things like reading stories to kids, often that I think probably tends to fall to the mum or grandparents or whatever, but, spending that bit of time with kids and reading can make a huge difference and builds that rapport.
That's
because I could be speaking out of turn here, but my thought would be if as a dad you don't develop that relationship with your children when they're young, then when you actually want to impose your values and morals on them as they're teenagers, you've got no chance. You know, you need to develop that rapport so young kids know where you're coming from and they understand why you're doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
That's right. And as a father of 5 myself, the years that you put in at the early years, you really do reap the benefit in their teenage years, because without relationship, you don't have a huge amount of influence. So one example of reading was that with Southern Hills Christian College, one of the schools we work with here in Bedfordale, they do a book reading activity once a year. So we encourage the dads to come along. We put on a barbecue breakfast before school. They come along with their favourite book, their childhood book, whatever it may be, and they come into the classroom and they read to their child or other children in the classroom.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So that's promoting what you spoke about the importance of dads reading to their kids. Yeah.
Oh, what a great project. I love it. So if people want to be more involved, how would they do that? How would they reach out to you, and how could they be more involved in what you're doing?
There's, besides the work I'm doing with the school, we're also managing a community fathering hub, and that's based at the Child and Parent Centre at Westfield Park, on the grounds of Westfield Park Primary School. And we provide case management support there, which can be some one-on-one support to dads. Next term, we're actually running we're commencing our Connect Dads program. It's an 8-week program, and dads don't need to be there for all the 8 sessions. Of course, if they're there for the 8 sessions, they'll benefit more. But it's a way of meeting other dads in the community and also upskilling their fathering skills. Because some of the feedback I get is, well, I know I don't want to father like I've been fathered, but I actually don't know what to do.
Yeah, how do I do it better?
How do I do it better? And they've got a real desire to be a better dad.
Can you give examples of what that might be?
Look, sometimes the dads will express different ways that they were disciplined, for example, and they probably have some trauma around that, and some hurt and some emotional pain, and they know that didn't work for them. So how can they parent better?
But we know that instinctively people will go back to the way that they learnt, even though they might know that it's not the best way to do it.
Yes.
You know, and the instinct to a kid is reacting inappropriately or disrespectfully to actually whack them across the back of the head is really hard. It takes a lot of reprogramming to try and get through that. It's not something that you can just not do or just happens. And I think women have this inbuilt support mechanism. They can talk to each other to find out strategies, and men don't have that. I mean, you can't go down the pub and have a chat with the guys about how you're going to stop your 2-year-old from, sticking his finger in the PowerPoint socket. You need places like this, like you talk Westfield Park, where you can actually go and talk parenting and see it as a valid way to improve your skills.
And last year we ran a group once a month and targeted dads from 0 through to children from 0 to 2. And we had sort of 6 to 8 dads there each month, and they just wanted to talk about their experience. About, well, will they eventually ever go to sleep?
Yes.
So, and just being in a room with those dads, and they're all telling their stories about their early experiences as a father, was just amazing. And pretty much all the dads left there feeling encouraged in their role, feeling like, you know what, I can do this. And what I find working in this space is if you give men a safe place to open up and talk about what's going on in their life, they've got lots to talk about. But and one of the great things about working for the Fathering Project, you can just say, how are you going as a dad? And you'd be surprised how many men don't get asked that question. And when you ask it, it actually validates their role. And we try to come from a strength-based perspective, like rather than we all know there's struggles in parenting. We all know there's things that we want to change as a father, but let's do a check-in. Tell me one thing you've done well today as a dad. And that might be something as simple as, I dropped my kid off at school. Well done. That's fantastic.
That's it. Start with the small wins.
Correct.
Brilliant. And my phrase for this year, one thing I'm passionate about, is conscious parenting. We do so much of our parenting unconsciously. They just happen to exist in our lives. But when you actually consciously focus on the good that you're doing and how you're raising a small human that's going to be, that's what children are, by the way, James. They're small humans that grow up to be big humans.
I don't have any kids.
We
about a dog. I'm quite keen on the idea of a dog. Start small.
And I think that encompasses what you're talking about. You're talking about conscious dadding, conscious fathering, and that's just brilliant. That's a golden bullet to some of the problems that we have in our community.
It is, and to circle back to your initial question, how can you get involved? Well, I'm always on the lookout for volunteers because the schools that I work with, we have opportunities for volunteers to work with a particular school to help that school organise and run an activity once a term. So it's not an onerous volunteering role, but it's working for an organisation that's passionate about helping dads and believing in dads to be the best they can be.
Now, I'm sure that we've got listeners out there saying, I couldn't possibly do that, I'm a terrible dad. But I'm going to maybe put words in your mouth and say, you actually want a dad that's made mistakes. You want people who are real and honest, and they can come and share some of their experiences. So you don't have to be a good dad, you just have to be open to learning.
Well, everyone is a good dad.
Excellent.
Everyone has something to contribute in this space. And so if your benchmark is, well, I can't contribute to this space because I've made a mistake with my kids, well, come and join me because I've made plenty with my kids.
Yeah, same here. Absolutely.
So don't let that be an obstacle to get involved. And you're right, you're working with dads and having empathy and honesty about your role as a dad yourself when communicating with other dads actually leads them to open up.
Exactly.
Which is really healthy for everyone.
Yeah. Fabulous project. So glad you could come and join us.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
David.
very much. Yes, and hopefully we'll talk to you again.
Yes.
Love to. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
In the meantime,
Bye now.
107.3 HFM, the voice of your community.
Woo!